Michael, good morning. Hope you're well.
It is great to be here. Thank you so much. I'm glad it worked out. I was so excited when we found out we'd be coming to Chicago. I was so excited for last night's game. I wish the outcome would have gone differently. I know we're supposed to be objective. I don't care. I was hoping the Bears would win. It's a great story. It was fun to watch, and I feel bad for all those people that freeze their asses off for all those hours to go home unhappy.
What was your vantage point last night, before the game, during the game, and how would you describe just the entire experience, start to finish, of your night at Soldier Field?
Well, the way it works when you work for a network that has the game, they have an area for you somewhere in the bowels of the stadium, and sometimes bowels is the proper word. And, usually it's an area where they hang up curtains. And look, we appreciate the hospitality. We know the space is limited, but it can be packed and there's a lot of people. And that's where we were yesterday pregame. Then at about 4 o'clock Central Time, it was time to go out, and we weren't that far from the field, and I was dreading it, but I was layered up, like multiple layers. My pants didn't want to, I had multiple long johns, tops, bottoms, coat, hat, hand warmers, foot warmers, doubled up everywhere, and it really wasn't that bad. I think if you're mentally prepared for it to be horrible, you'll take anything better than horrible, and we had some great heaters out there, so I was able to take it all in, see Jim Belushi, see the folks from the Bear, ran into my buddy Big Cat, talked to him, watched some of the warm-ups, talked to some of the people from the teams. We were on the Bears sideline. Usually we're on the visiting team sideline because, the home team's like, we don't want all this crap on our sideline. Get it over to the other sideline. But it was nice to be on the Bears sideline. It's just, there was a vibe, the excitement, the energy. You could smell the food. It's, and then once the game starts, we got to get the hell out. That's the thing. We don't get to stay out there and watch the game. So we get back to our green room, which was not green in any way, shape, or form, and it's like, you're clear for the night. It's like, all right, I'm going back to the hotel. I mean, I'm gonna spread out, get my laptop open, do some work, have a little space. So that's where I was from halfway through the first quarter until the end of the game. I was watching it from the Park Hyatt Hotel.
Yeah, that's a good spot. I'm wondering, Mike, when you saw Caleb Williams connect on that pass at the end of the game, I believe it was Rome Odunze who said a week ago when he did that jump man pass on 4th down that the guy makes the best throw you can see until the next throw he makes. And it really was, that was more spectacular. The idea that you could retreat while not losing your cool or losing your composure and still throw a touchdown pass that covered a 14-yard touchdown that covered 51.5 yards in the air is absolutely an extraordinary outcome.
I don't understand the people that are constantly looking for ways to poke at everything Caleb Williams does and not give him credit when he makes a play like that. He started to retreat, and you can see he began to trickle out to the left, but the Rams were very smart and disciplined in how they were hemming him in, and they were keeping him from getting out of the pocket, because we've seen when he decides to put pedal to the metal, he's gone. So I thought he was going to try to break to his left and maybe run for it or at least buy some more time. He keeps retreating, and when he finally throws it, it's like, oh, this is a shame. Like, this is it. Game over. There's no way that ball is going to be caught. So that whole thing was amazing. And we have seen, I believe, in 2 career postseason games from Caleb Williams, 2 of the best all-time playoff throws. And if they had won the game, they would have elevated even more, because you keep going, you keep winning, and those throws lay the foundation for wherever you're going to end up. And it's just a shame. I was saying earlier that when the Rams punted at the end of overtime, the look on Matthew Stafford's face, and it was just like a split second that the camera caught him, he just kind of knew, that's it, we're done. This guy's going to go down, and they're going to score.
Pained.
It's over. It's over. And it was so stunning the way it ended. And the contrast is the throw to Cole Kmet at the end of regulation reeked of desperation.
Yes.
The throw that was intercepted by Cam Curl that was meant for DJ Moore, when he let go of the ball, it's like he's got something. Like, he threw it with confidence, and he threw it with authority, and it was almost as stunning to see that ball intercepted as it was to see the touchdown at the end of regulation caught.
So when you look at Ben Johnson and his approach, as aggressive as it was, you respect it from the standpoint of he was consistent with his personality. He's always been that guy. That's who they hired. I just wonder, around the league, as we continue to kind of monitor this, do you think that what Ben Johnson is getting from other teams, other coaches, from his fraternity, closer to respect or resentment? What do the Bears have? A villain or a hero? How do you view Ben Johnson and the way that he is viewed outside of Chicago?
Well, one of the reasons that I respect his willingness to lean in the way a fan would and say F the Packers and create beef with Matt LaFleur, who's still trying to figure out why am I like, what's the deal, right? What is the deal? And I like him doing that because it's a small fraternity, and it's, a company with 32 offices, and you're going to work for more than one of those offices, and you have a network of coaches that you're going to tap into, or you may need to tap into at some point. You need those relationships, and fans don't understand that. But I mean, the coaches will change teams year after year after year. They're loyal to the laundry, and then it's time to move, and we're going to wear a different logo and a different color scheme, and that's the way it is. But Ben Johnson's all in with the Bears experience, and I think he's got the confidence that he's going to be the coach of the Bears as long as he wants to be. Now, are there things that need to be ironed out? I had a former head coach texting me during the game last night saying, when you get into a game like this, you can't just turn up your nose at 3 points. And maybe he thought it was going to be a high-scoring game, but it drives me crazy. And this is the water's edge between, the old-school football crowd and the analytics people. They're like, always go for it, go for it, go for it. There is wisdom in taking 3 points, especially in a game that ends up 17-17 at the end of regulation. Taking those 3 points can mean everything. And there are too many times where he hasn't done it. And I'm surprised he didn't go for 2. After the Komet touchdown. He explained after the game that their goal-to-go plays hadn't been working, so he opted to take his chances in overtime. I'm sure now he'd say, well, I should have taken my chances at the end of regulation and gone for 2. But it's in his character to have a play ready to go that he's been saving in his back pocket all season long for this moment. I was surprised they didn't go for 2.
Mike, we're sitting here and Sean McDermott's fired this morning, and we're looking around the landscape of the NFL. 10 jobs open, some of them filled. But my goodness gracious, that's almost a third of the league. And you look around and there isn't a Ben Johnson. There isn't a guy that is this up-and-coming, can't-miss type of prospect. The Bears did spend money. They did hire the hottest guy on the market, and he delivered. And I think that the early expectations for this team turned out so differently. But why is the whole league firing coaches this dramatically, this quickly, after a playoff win, whatever it might be?
Well, dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things, as my friend Big Cat said years ago, and I have stolen it at every turn. But bad teams stay bad. Look around the league at the bad teams. Why are they bad year in and year out? The dysfunction starts at the top. There is no test that you have to pass to own an NFL franchise. You have to pass 2 tests to drive a car. You have to pass 0 tests to own and operate a multi-billion-dollar business that plays pro football. You don't have to show that you know anything about it. You just need to either show up with the biggest bag of cash, or you need to have your name in the will, and you end up owning a team. And I got a text just now from a coach, and I'd love to tell you who it is. I can't, but at this very moment, the worst collective of 32 owners in league history. It's all about the owners.
That's a fair comment.
When you have 10 coaches fired, like, where is the Ben Johnson? Where is the obvious replacement? I wonder if John Harbaugh would like to smear his name out on this signature line on the contract he signed over the weekend.
He took the wrong job in New York.
Or maybe he'll say Jim signed it, not John. The wrong Harbaugh signed the contract, because between the Bills and the Giants, like, who's not going to want to work with Josh Allen going into a new stadium with a team that is just dying to get to a Super Bowl, and you've got this blank slate where you can come in and do your thing, and you've got Josh Allen. So, yeah, that right now instantly becomes the best job available, and 8 jobs still open, 2 are filled, 10, almost 33.3% of the league is open after 1 year. It's amazing to me that we've gotten to this point, but it's all about owners, and Ben Johnson gets guys fired. When you bring a guy in, and he's not the only one. I remember when Andy Reid went straight when Andy Reid went straight from Philadelphia to Kansas City, and just boom, right out of the gates. It's like, this is why guys get fired, because every team thinks, there's only so much you can do to overturn your roster in 1 year because of the salary cap. I can go out and hire a new coach. If I get the right coach, everything changes just like that. And I think owners give into that. Owners give into the reality you need fans to renew their season tickets. Or, hey, we're building a new stadium. Like in Cleveland, we're building a new stadium. We're going to sell PSLs. We need people to be willing to part with their money. We need to give them a reason to be excited. I think that's one of the reasons why owners will decide to change coaches even when maybe they should show a little more patience.
But what's so remarkable about this is that all those things you said are so true, and yet the transformation in Buffalo would not be underway if not for a very controversial call. If they say that Brandon Cooks caught that pass, the Bills are kicking a game-winning field goal instead of having what happened happen, and they're at the mercy of a judgment call. And I understand there's good arguments on both sides. People are going to see what they're going to see, but it very easily could have gone the other way, Mike, and then the Bills are advancing, and Sean McDermott is looking at a possible Super Bowl and not unemployment.
And this may be why he said what he said after the game. He did a press conference, and then he called a reporter from the team playing with even more to support his belief that he thought it was the wrong call. Look, this is one of the times when, because I've been doing this 25 years now, when I first got started, I felt horribly inadequate because I had no journalism training, and it showed every day. But the legal training and experience I had helps out in situations like this because the rule book is the law. They pass the rules, and that's the law. And then the league office, through the replay process and the referees in real time, they're the judges who interpret and apply the law. And I'll try to be as concise as I can here. If you look at the letter of the law, the Brandon Cooks catch wasn't a catch. He was going to the ground, and he lost control of the ball when he hit the ground. The ball popped up. Jaquan McMillan intercepted it. That's fine. But on December 7th, Aaron Rodgers, in the Steelers-Ravens game, did the same damn thing. He had the ball. He went to the ground. He lost the ball. The Ravens caught it. It was ruled an interception on the field. They overturned it via replay review, and the NFL's VP of Instant Replay, Mark Butterworth, explained that it was a catch, that he had it, he went to the ground, he had the ball, and that was it. And it's the same play. I mean, obviously it's different because it was behind the line of scrimmage. It was a batted ball. But here's the problem, and this is why I think a lot of people are concerned about it. In that case, it went through the full replay review process.
Right.
And it landed on the radar screen of the VP of Instant Replay. This time around, they did the expedited review. Walt Anderson was on NFL Network yesterday, and I credit the folks at NFL Network because Goodell signs their checks. They were pressing him like, who made this decision? Steve Mariucci was awesome. Walt, who made this decision? Walt Anderson, the mouthpiece of the NFL for these issues. Who made this decision? And why didn't Carl Cheffers, the referee, explain this? Like, why are we hearing about it from Gene Steratore or Tony Romo? We need to hear about it from the league. It felt rushed. And what Anderson said, they want to move the game along in situations where they think it's clear. There are certain situations where too much is riding on it. Obviously, the Bills season, Sean McDermott's job, it's all riding on this. There are moments where the process needs to be more deliberate and transparent. And that's the problem. We don't know who's making these decisions. Walt Anderson said yesterday, there's a team of replay officials that are in the league office looking at this. A GM from another team texted me and said, why am I just hearing this for the first time that there's a team of replay officials? They never told me that before. They don't know. And I've had the same person who just texted me about the worst collective of 32 owners has been railing for years on the fact that we never know who's in the room when they're doing these reviews.
Yeah.
Who's making the decision? Who's hovering over their shoulder? We don't know anything about it. And at one point yesterday, Kyle Brandt said on NFL Network, it's Orwellian. And I got to admire the guts it takes to say on NFL Network, when you're employed by the NFL, that their replay review process is Orwellian, because it is.
Yeah, I mean, that is something else. And I think one of the things about that game as well is that you come out of that game and you got Josh Allen weeping and, you know, what have I done to my team? It's almost like the realization I'm never going to the Super Bowl. I can't win. And then you got Sean Payton walking out and saying, oh, yeah, our guy broke his leg. He broke his ankle and he's out for the year. That was a stunning turn of events, one after the other. Even in real time, I mean, the guy got hit and he was down, but I had no idea that he was injured that badly, that he was done. And that pretty much ruins their chances
does.
to win the Super Bowl.
Are we sure that it does, though? Nick
Well,
Foles has already chimed in. He
that
knows
was
a thing or
hilarious.
two.
That
Foles,
tweet was
right?
great.
That
But-
was awesome.
There have been 6 quarterbacks since 1950 who did not start a regular season game and got their first start of the year in the postseason. Only one ever won. It was Frank Reich in that epic
Yes.
1992 35-3 comeback against the Oilers. And he won the next week at Pittsburgh in the divisional round before Jim Kelly was healthy for the championship game at Miami. So it's not impossible. And Jarrett Stidham is there for a reason. He's got 4 career starts. He hasn't thrown a pass since January of 2024. No regular season passes in 24. No regular season passes in 25. Again, it was the tail end of the 23 season where they were done with Russell Wilson. They wanted to avoid like $37 million in potential
Right.
guarantees if he was injured. So, Russ, you're done. We're going to go with Jarrett Stidham. But he's been in that system with Sean Payton for 3 years now. And this is a perfect scenario. The Patriots are already 5.5-point favorites. Everybody's going to think the Patriots are going to show up and win. You know, the Patriots are 0-4 all time in Denver in the postseason, including 0-3 with Belichick and Brady. That was their kryptonite in the AFC during the years they were Super Bowl team. So this is not an automatic. This is not a gimme. They got a good defense.
Their defense
They're
is
going to rally around
excellent.
Stidham.
Yep.
And I think they want to hear all week long they got no chance because I think Sean Payton knows how to take that and push his guys' buttons and have them ready to go.
All right, Mike.
They'd be awful in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it'd be
I
really
mean, just
tough.
the idea
Really tough
they
Super
could win
Bowl.
in Denver, but then going to Santa Clara, I don't think so.
Against
Mike-
Seattle with the way the Seahawks look right
Be a
now.
Yeah,
defensive
look
battle. Let's zoom back in on the Bears locally. Last night, obviously, there was a lot to like about this season. Love, in fact, because here locally, it was one that really galvanized an entire city. I thought that last night, even though the Rams moved on, it was worth savoring because the Bears are back locally. That's the way it kind of looks from here. Outside of Chicago, do you see the Bears being back? Is this a team that can sustain this success?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the excitement should come from the fact that it's not driven by defense. It's driven by the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams connection. There's another year before Caleb Williams is eligible for his second contract. He's got a cap number of $10 million for 2026. That gives them more freedom to go out and add the pieces, another pass rusher. You know, wherever your weaknesses are, let's go out and address them now before the Caleb Williams second contract. But this feels sustainable. This is why I say when you have a young franchise quarterback, you want an offensive coach. You don't want a defensive coach. All due respect to all the defensive coaches out there, but the offensive coordinator is going to get a head coaching job somewhere else, and then you got to find another one. And maybe the next one's going to be bad. Maybe the next one's going to be good. Either way, your quarterback's got to deal with a new offensive coordinator. You want Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams to develop and grow year after year after year. You want Caleb Williams to have the full range of experiences. So the next time he thinks he's going to get DJ Moore down the field, that he's going to flatten off instead of go deeper, there's going to be maybe some restraint and he's not going to throw that ball. These are all things that are going to make him better and better, and this is the start of something that feels sustainable. I think back to the 85 Bears, we all thought they were a dynasty. They're going to win 2, they're going to win 3, and it all fell apart. It's been a long time since then. This feels like the early stages of something that could end up being very special. That's why today, look, here's how you get past yesterday. Number one, probably wasn't going to end well in Seattle next week. So, you know, and 2, it's the dawn of a new era for the Chicago Bears. That is the thing that I would take away from this. If I was a Bears fan saying, hey, things are going to get better and they're going to get there quickly.